As the temperatures change, many people are struggling with seasonal depression, making mental health something we all need to prioritize. Leading cognitive behavioral therapist Dr. Jennifer Guttman joins us for tips on obtaining a clear, balanced, and healthy mind. This is Advocate Now. Dr. Guttman, this is such an important topic, so I'm so thrilled to talk to you today. Especially after the last couple of years, we've definitely seen an increase in social anxiety. What are some ways for people to stay positive despite the outside noise they may be experiencing?
I think that a lot of times people are feeling very out of control because of all the things that they're hearing that are going on in the world. So it's really important to try to remember that you have the most control of the things that are going on the closest to you. So the more that you can catalog the positive events and activities that are going on the closest to home and try to be mindful of those, remember them, even if it's as small as your child's smile or an activity that went on that day that made you feel good. Those are the things that you should focus on as opposed to being over focused on the things that are out of our control, that are going on, the big events, um, violence, and things that are going on outside of ourselves.
Yeah, of course, we could start out with a positive mindset, and then we can all face those small setbacks throughout the day. It can be easy to let those little things take over, but how can we keep it from running our day?
Well, I think that it's easy to start ruminating about negative things. And it's really important if you start to notice yourself ruminating about a negative thing that you pause and stop yourself and try to distract yourself with something that's more positive. And so ask yourself, okay, what's a positive thing that did happen today? And then to redirect your attention to something that is positive. We do tend to have a negativity bias. And so, because of that, it's important to try to really focus on, okay, I'm going to balance this negative thought with something positive, and I'm going to redirect my attention to something that's more positive and not negative.
Something that has been an incredibly powerful tool for me, which you also explore in your work, is meditation. And that can look a little bit different for everyone. I talk to people who say, I can't meditate, I can't stop my brain. How do you define meditation, and what does a typical practice look like?
So there's different types of meditation. Imagery works for some people. Progressive relaxation works for some people. Tense and relax works for some people. And there's no right way of doing it. I also think that another point that you made is also right, which is that people do it for a while, then they stop doing it, they start doing it. And it's important to remember that if you're using meditation for a while and then you stop, that doesn't mean that you can't go back to it. Meditation is a great way to de stress. And I think that it's important to remember that having a de stressed brain is the best way to have your brain be the most efficient and effective and productive. So if you've stopped using meditation, always feel free to go back to it when you're feeling the most stress and use whatever kind of meditation has been the most effective for you. If you haven't found one that's the most effective for you, try a different one because there are so many different types out there that you can try.
Right. It's interesting that you say that because I'm currently in a period where I'm like, I haven't really meditated that much in a while because I haven't needed it, which is great. But, especially this time of year, the weather gets colder. So you can turn back to it. But why can it be such a powerful tool in creating a healthier and happier mind?
Because de-stressing is really important, and that is, one of the ways that we can get back in touch with ourselves and have a peaceful mind. Positive psychology talks about a lot of things that can help us get back in touch with a happier and more balanced mindset. Positive psychology talks about four pillars to have us have a more positive mindset, one of which is having more positive emotions, contentment, hope, optimism. Another one of them is we talk about flow. Flow is our ability to enjoy the activities that we're experiencing. A third pillar is that we engage in goals and try to execute goals that we're trying to achieve. And the fourth one is that we try to have an overarching purpose that is not only focused on financial gain. So, those things, along with meditation, can really help us have a more positive mindset overall.
I think, tackling mental health is very individualized. Something that works for one person might not work for another, but you specialize in what's known as cognitive behavior therapy. What exactly is that? And how does it work?
So, cognitive behavior therapy focuses on how we can effectively reduce the distortions that people have in the ways that they think. And the way that we attack that is that we look at how people have errors in their thinking. Some people magnify certain thoughts, some people have fortune tell, some people minimize the ways that the compliments that they get. And what we do is we sort of do a post mortem on the ways that people think, go in, take out the errors in their thinking, and then rebalance their thinking in a more realistic way. When you do that, then it helps you have an improved mood, and it also helps your behaviors change, because when there are errors in your thinking, then you change your behavior based on those errors. However, when the errors come out of your thinking and you're thinking in a more realistic way, then your mood changes and the behaviors also change. So then that follows.
Yeah, it's like reprogramming your brain. It's habitual in a way, I would think, because if you do it over and over again, I almost look at it as if you want to change your body, you need to work out. I don't know that people often think that we need to work on our brains as well and change our brain chemistry.
Absolutely. It's like if you have if a muscle is atrophied and you go to the gym, you're working on building up that muscle. And if you do it consistently and regularly, then you build up that muscle group. If you stop working on it, then it atrophies again. And the thing with cognitive behavior therapy and working on something like error thinking is that you build up that muscle and you have to keep at it and working on it. And the more regularly you work at it, the better you get at it. It's a joke in my family that I work really hard, not to engage in error thinking. And every so often, one of my kids will catch me doing it. And they're like, that was an error. So,
Gotcha. Yeah. As the temperature changes, especially, I alluded to this earlier because it definitely affects me. A lot of people deal with seasonal depression and anxiety. What tips do you have to help people cope the best?
so it starts to get darker a lot earlier, and we have a lot less sunlight. Light is so important for people and really impacts their mood in such a significant way. So, to get as much light as possible is critically important. It doesn't matter whether you try to get that by having as much daylight as you possibly can squeeze into your day, or whether you get one of those sun lamps. Sun lamps are really important. If you get a sun lamp, try to stay under the sun lamp at the same time every day and for the same number of hours every day. The desk lamp ones are really good. The other thing that's important is that a lot of times we become very sedentary during these winter months and fall months, and exercise is really important. Diet is also very important. Sometimes we carbo load if we're also sedentary, and having a good healthy diet during winter months is important. And we also tend to hibernate. It's important to continue to socialize with family and friends, because social connectivity is really important to make sure that we stave off winter blues and don't become depressed or anxious during these months.
You obviously we all want to be happy. Happiness, it sometimes feels like it's a fleeting feeling. What is your mindset on happiness and how can we create a more balanced headspace so that our happy moments are more frequent?
So you bring up an excellent point. Happiness, just like you said, happiness is a fleeting feeling. It feels great, but it is fleeting. And so I suggest to people that they strive for a different goal. They strive for a feeling of satisfaction. And satisfaction is when we are working towards an authentic goal. And if we're working towards an authentic goal, then we can experience a more enduring feeling. And an enduring feeling is satisfaction. It's a feeling of contentment that we can have that is more long lasting. And if we are searching and experiencing that, then we naturally and organically are going to have spring from that feelings of happiness along the way. So it's not that we won't have feelings of happiness, we will. It's just that they will come from and out of feelings of satisfaction that we have in a more enduring and consistent way as we are continuing along a path towards our authentic goals.
Something I've noticed, I'm curious if you agree that the topic of mental health seems to have become a lot less taboo. More people are talking about it, they're not hiding their struggles. And I
Mhm.
think that transparency really helps others as well.
I think that is absolutely true. I think it's happening for a few reasons. I think that there's been an enormous uptick, as everybody's talking about it, in the incidence of depression and anxiety. I think that happened pre-pandemic. It's, it continues to increase. It's not just because of the pandemic, but the amount of mental health issues is increasing. And then I also think that there's been a really nice call to action of people trying to be more vulnerable, period, in life, in social situations, in media, about talking to other people and not hiding anymore what their problems are. And vulnerability begets vulnerability. The more vulnerable you can be with somebody in your life, the more likely they are to be vulnerable back with you. And I think that that breeds a much stronger social connection. And I think that that's why we're seeing people being more vulnerable with each other, especially while, there is a deterioration of mental health in the country overall.
I love this conversation. Dr. Gutman, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
And you can check out Dr. Gutman's book, Beyond Happiness, The 6 Secrets of Lifetime Satisfaction, on Audible. I'm Sonia Baghdadi. Thanks for watching and advocating. For more stories and content like this, visit advocatechannel.com.